More than a century has passed since the Titanic slipped beneath the Atlantic. Most people know the grand staircase, the cabins, the scattered china, the haunting silence, but very few know what lies deeper, far beyond the passenger decks, the suites, or the dining rooms. Today, we descend into a place that almost no one has ever seen. A place sealed away in darkness since 1912. A place where the cold, crushing pressure of the Atlantic has frozen time itself. This is the Titanic's hidden cargo hold, a buried world of steel, minerals, coral, and secrets, untouched for over 100 years. As the ROV pushes through a jagged opening in the hull, the beam of light reveals the first signs of a forgotten realm. Collapsed beams, mineralized crates stacked like underwater fossils, and drifting clouds of rust dust spiraling like smoke in slow motion. The deeper we go, the thicker the water becomes, dense with marine snow, silt, and the remains of a century of decay. Yet nothing prepares you for the moment when the cargo hold finally appears. Vast, silent, and filled with items frozen exactly where they fell in 1912. The first sight is a long row of freight crates, once sturdy wooden boxes, now transformed into mineral sculptures. The wood is long gone. All that remains are the skeletons of crates turned into stone-like slabs, fused with coral and iron dust. Some crates sit upright, as if ready for delivery. Others have collapsed into themselves, their lids twisted by rust, their corners bent inward like crushed bones. Inside, hardened mineral hollows show where goods once were, shapes left behind, though the objects themselves dissolved decades ago. Tiny organisms slip through the openings, stirring pale clouds of silt that drift upward like underwater smoke. Each crate feels like a time capsule, a silent witness to the moment the ocean swallowed everything. And yet, this is just a beginning. As the ROV moves deeper, glints of metal appear, scattered across the floor. Cargo tags. These tags, once used to label freight, now lie frozen in thick rust sheets and coral formations. Some hang from ancient hooks, swaying gently in the currents. Others are cracked in half, their stamped numbers barely visible beneath layers of oxidation. One tag in particular, twisted, curled, and eaten by rust, still clings to a mineralized crate frame. The letters are faint but recognizable, preserved under a century of corrosion. It's a haunting moment, the last identification of a shipment, drifting silently in a tomb of steel and silt. Further in, the ROV finds something unexpected. Rows of bottles, thousands of them still standing in collapsed racks. Their corks have dissolved and hardened into calcium plugs. The glass is thick with mineral clouds. Some bottles lie shattered, revealing crystalline growth where liquids once rested. Others remain intact, frozen, sealed, and fused to the ship, with coral-like roots wrapping around stone. Inside the bottles, delicate coral formations swirl like underwater flames, glowing faintly under the ROV's diffused light. Each bottle is a miniature world, sculpted by time and the slow hand of the deep sea. Inside the next chamber, the silhouette of metal barrels appears, tilted, crushed, and folded under the weight of the ship's collapse. The barrels are swollen with oxidation, coated in layers of orange rust, white coral threads, and sponge colonies. Some have split open, revealing compressed silt that fills them like clay. Others remain intact, though barely recognizable. A trail of tiny fish moves inside one broken barrel, weaving through its jagged opening and kicking up a shimmering golden cloud. These barrels once carried supplies for the voyage, but now they are monuments of decay, absorbed into the Atlantic's cold embrace. And then, suddenly, something extraordinary emerges. Chests, metal lockboxes, decorative trunks, once filled with personal luxury goods belonging to wealthy passengers. Now they look like coral-covered relics from another era. One chest is partially open, revealing molds of jewelry, bracelets, brooches, and small containers turned into fossil impressions. Another is completely fused shut, sealed by rust and sponge colonies. The coral wraps around the lock, as if nature is guarding whatever lies inside. Small cylindrical containers, once used for perfume or oils, now contain only hardened crystalline residue. But their shapes, their carved edges, their delicate mineral textures, everything looks like ancient treasure, sculpted by the ocean itself. Deeper still lies one of the Titanic's rarest secrets. A vehicle, not intact, not recognizable, but a mineralized skeleton of what once was an expensive automobile bound for America. The frame is twisted, but still visible. The steering column lies collapsed beside it, now a coral-coated arc. Gear wheels, rims, mechanical rods, all fossilized into mesmerizing shapes. Nearby rests a cargo trolley used to move heavy freight, now fused into the floor by thick rust blooms. These objects, once symbols of industry and progress, now lie timelessly, entombed in silence, conquered by the deep. What follows is one of the most visually stunning rooms in the cargo hold. Rows of wine and spirits, hundreds of bottles, some shattered, some intact, each one transformed by the Atlantic. Inside these bottles, the remnants of liquid have crystallized into glowing mineral structures. Their necks are sealed with rock-like plugs. Their surfaces shimmer with oxidation patterns. It looks like an underwater cathedral, built from glass, coral, and time. A bottle tipped on its side reveals a haunting sight. Coral branches growing inside through a jagged opening, nature turning cargo into sculpture. The next space reveals an industrial graveyard. Wrenches, clamps, chisels, iron chains, pulley wheels, all fused into coral formations, like the relics of a lost machine age. A collapsed toolbox has transformed into a single mineral block, its contents fused like fossils. An iron chain coil lies stiff and immobile, each link thick with rust and barnacles. These tools once built, repaired, lifted, and shaped. Now, they are broken, still, and frozen. Silent reminders of a time when Titanic was a symbol of engineering perfection. Beyond the tools, broken ceramic cargo fills another compartment, pots shattered into mineral shards, bowls transformed into coral basins, tall amphora-like containers thick with white fungal textures. Every object is a relic sculpted by pressure and time, cracked, coral-filled and strangely beautiful. One ceramic jar lies split in half, its interior filled with underwater flowers made of coral. A tiny eel slips through the opening, sending silver dust drifting into the dark. This is not just cargo anymore. It is underwater art. The next chamber feels colder, narrower, and eerier. Metal shelves sag under the weight of rust and sponge growth. Cans, swollen from decades of corrosion, lie scattered across the floor. Their interiors are filled with compacted silt, hardened into fossil-like ripples. A metal basin sits upright, its surface coated with coral sprouts. The water is thick with marine snow, drifting like ash in a frozen storm. Rust stalactites hang from the shelves, swaying gently with the current. Some break off as the ROV moves past, drifting upward like tiny underwater snowflakes. Then comes a room filled with medical supplies, metal syringes, their barrels warped, surgical clamps fused shut, scalpels buried in hardened sediment. Instrument trays merged into coral blocks. A metal case lies open, its interior lined with coral ridges where tools once sat in perfect order. It feels like the remnants of a floating hospital, now drowned, fossilized, and forgotten. The silence here is deeper, heavier, as if the ocean itself has held onto this room with reverence. Beyond the medical cargo lies a site that stops the ROV in place. Additional vehicle parts. Wheel rims with coral webs stretched across their spokes. Axle rods half buried in silt. Train coupler parts fused into coral pillars. Mechanical fragments merged into enormous mineral masses. A metal figurine, a small toy, sits near one of the frames, transformed into a stone-like relic. It's haunting. A glimpse of what passengers once carried, now turned ghostly by time, and finally, deep in a collapsed section of the cargo hold, something remarkable lies waiting. A hidden locker. The ROV shifts debris aside, revealing a broken hinge and a narrow opening. Inside are small, intensely personal metal objects. A mineral-coated hand mirror, a pair of cufflinks fused together, a cloudy crystal bottle still sealed with a mineral plug, a metal locket shaped by corrosion, a tiny metal toy train completely fossilized. These are not just artifacts. They are the last silent whispers of someone's life, frozen, forgotten, and untouched for more than a century. The ROV backs away slowly, leaving these secrets where they have rested since 1912. As the camera drifts upward, marine snow thickens, drifting through the beam like stars falling in slow motion. The final sight is the cargo hold, fading into infinite darkness. Its secrets, once frozen, revealed at last.